Hi guys. So I needed to do this video before September 23rd. As we know, Feast of Tabernacles slash Sukkot is September 23rd through I believe the 30th, and there's a lot of stuff going on that week. And then just my dreams and the Gemini twins and Obama and just a bunch of stuff. But before I get into all that, I want to share a dream I just had that's very, very encouraging, at least to me. Um, and just give me your thoughts if you can interpretate anything in this dream. So again, it wasn't that a very long of a dream, but it started out as I knew we were going out to dinner with our family, and I needed to bring my grandson to daycare. And we were in my house here in Livingston, Montana, and so I got him all ready and getting ready to take him to daycare. And I pulled up, but the house that I pulled up in was back in my hometown where I grew up in Minnesota. And this lady that was going to babysit my grandson was a lady that was very involved in our church. And she was in like the cradle, what do you call it? Like the cradle club, the babies and stuff for the church. She's just an amazing, amazing lady. And her name is Brenda. And I thought it was crazy that I even thought of her or had a dream about her, because I haven't thought about her in, oh gosh, 15 plus years. I haven't seen the lady since my son was just a couple years old, and he's 23. So yeah, well over 20 years. But in my dream, I take my grandson over to this lady's house, and she's having a garage sale. And she is in the front yard. Her house was surrounded by a white picket fence. I remember that clear as day. And we came in, and she's sitting at this little table like she's taken the money for this garage sale. And I said something like, "How's it going?" And she said, "Really good." She said $153. And I was like, "Well, that's really good, you know." And so I take the baby in um, the house, and there's a bunch of old ladies from my church back home. And you guys, I haven't been to that church since before I was 18, I believe. I've been there for funerals and stuff, but I've lived in Montana for 15 years now, and I've been just in there a handful of times for my family, like my grandma and my dad that passed away. We had their funeral there, and but I haven't went to church there since before I was, probably 18 years old. And I recognized these ladies immediately in my dream. And I'm standing in the kitchen, and in my dream, you have to go through the kitchen to get to the living room. And I noticed in the living room, it was white carpet. And I could tell that it was freshly shampooed, it was freshly cleaned, and it was just like white as snow. And I didn't want to step on it. And in the dream, I was just like, I can't believe the carpet looks this good. Like, after I haven't been in this house, and I don't remember the house since I was like 7, 8 years old. Was the last time I had been in this house. So I don't remember the layout of it too much, but in my dream, it was like I hadn't been in that house for 10 plus years. And I was just amazed, just absolutely amazed at this white carpet. And again, I was just like, well, I don't want to step on it. And one of the ladies said, "That's okay, honey. The righteous can step on the carpet." And I was still hesitant. She goes, "Oh, honey, you're righteous. You're okay to step on the carpet." And I still was like, "Oh, it's so white. I don't want to get it dirty." And so I kind of peeked around the corner, and I saw this other elderly lady, and she was sitting on like a folding chair with a pillow on her lap. And there was a lady laying right on, like, it was like a pew, but it was a pew for like two people. And she was laying on this pew with her head on this lady's lap and on a pillow. And I said something like, "Is she okay?" And she said, "No, she's getting ready to go home like the rest of us." And I was just trying to be like really quiet, and I was just like looking at her, and she looked peaceful, but she also looked like she was ready to go, you know? And so the next thing I know is I'm walking out the side door of this house. And again, the lady's having a garage sale or a yard sale or whatever. And I walked out the side door, and I just remember seeing all this fall stuff. Like, especially like they had like the fake leaves. It was all autumn leaves, just different colors, and just a few fall things. And then I remember seeing a few of like Halloween stuff. But what clearly stood out in my dream was I saw this huge black. It was completely black, and another one identical to it, but it was completely orange. And they were clocks, but I couldn't see the time on the clock. And I just remember going, "Oh, yeah, it's fall. It's almost Halloween," or something like that. And I left. And then the next part of the dream was I was meeting my family at a restaurant, and they were like in this room that had um, like those old Victorian uh, chairs. And as I'm walking into the room, my dad is sitting there, and my dad passed away 4 years ago in May. And I didn't see his face, but I knew it was my dad just because of the shape of his head. I just knew it was my dad. And I scratched his head or rubbed his head or something like that. And I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" He's like, "Good." And I'm like, "I missed you." And he said, "I missed you too." And then my grandma was sitting in one of the Victorian chairs in the corner, and I went up to her, and my grandma passed away 6 years ago. And I went up to her and I gave her a kiss on the cheek, and I said, "I missed you." And I could just feel it in my dream because I really, really missed my grandma. And I said that to her. I said, "I really missed you." And she goes, "I really missed you too." And then I went and sat in another Victorian chair, and then my grandpa was in the other corner. And then I looked at my grandpa and I said, "Do you see them?" And he says, "Yeah, I see them." And then I looked back over to my dad and my grandma, and they disappeared. And I woke up from the dream. It just kind of like, whoa, just enough to wake me up. And it was just so awesome because I really got to see my grandma's face very clearly. And it's like I felt that love, and that I missed her. And um, like I said, I didn't see my dad's face, but anyways, you guys, that was my dream. So when I woke up from the dream, of course, I started thinking about it, and immediately the $153 that she spoke about made me think of the 153 fish. And I don't know if anybody's doing videos on 153 lately, but I know, you guys, I'm not good with timing, but I want to say 7, 8 months ago. Well, no, I think it was back in November, December of last year. Um, I had received the 153, and I know then many other people started talking about the 153, and we were going from like the blood moons, or wait, what was it that happened last September? Something big happened last September. But then we were counting the days, and anyways, we were all being led to 153. So I thought that was interesting that she had said $153. And then the white carpet, you guys, that really was like the key of this dream for some reason, this white carpet. And I just remember something like I hadn't been in that house for over 10 years, but in real life, I'm almost 44 years old, and I haven't been in that house since I was, like I said, 7, 8 years old. So 36 plus years ago. And I don't remember the layout. So I just thought it was very interesting that I had this dream about Brenda, and she's just this loving, just down to nature, loves the Lord, Christian lady, and I always looked up to her. She was just a sweetheart. And so that was pretty awesome to have her in my dream, and then just all the fall Halloween stuff outside, and then seeing my grandma. So I just thought that was pretty cool to share. And then the lady just saying that the elderly lady was getting ready to go home, just like we are, which I found very encouraging, you guys. So I just wanted to share that. Now I'm going to move on to this Feast of Tabernacles. You guys, the last video I did, I had shared with you guys about the sun going crazy and how I've been having dreams about the end time stuff, and mostly the bad stuff, war and fireballs and just this and that. And so when I had this dream and I did the video, you guys, Feast of Tabernacles just went way over my head. I wasn't even thinking of tabernacles. I've been so busy with real life right now that I hadn't looked up feast days or anything, and I'm usually on top of that. Like I especially when it comes to September, because Feast of Trumpets, Tabernacles, Day of Atonement, those are all huge watch times, and so I just wasn't really thinking, and I didn't even know Feast of Trumpets until September 11th, and I think it was right after I did a video. I was like, well, I better look up when Feast of Trumpets and Tabernacles is and stuff. Well, so then I had that dream about the sun that was going crazy, and then the sun had come right above me, and I was out in Paradise Valley. This is where my dream took place, and when the sun came down, it got like dimmer and dimmer, and then it was this huge tan camping tent. And as soon as it hit the ground, that gentleman walked out, and he said his name was Mo. And when I looked it up the next day after my dream, it meant delivered. So when I did the video and stuff, I was thinking more of, that delivered, and then the song I was singing, This Is How I Fight My Battles by Michael W. Smith, and I just absolutely love this song. And so I didn't think much more on the dream, and then as soon as I shared it in the video, then everybody, well, not everybody, but there was quite a few people that were like, Tabernacles, and I was like, oh my gosh, that went way over my head. I didn't even think about a tent, it being the tent and maybe the symbolism of Feast of Tabernacles. And so I got super excited, and then I was like, well, yeah, and then that guy's name was Mo, which means delivered. So is the Lord telling us that we will be delivered on Feast of Tabernacles? You guys, I'm not saying he is. I'm just telling you guys what, my dream, and just the meaning of the name Mo. And then also the dream I had, I can't remember when it was. I want to say in the beginning of the year, I had that dream about that little girl in the church basement, again, that in the church basement of where I grew up back in Minnesota. And we were getting ready for this big event, and we were getting things ready down in the basement of the church. And we had a TV down there, and I think it was YouTube. We were watching a YouTube video, and it was a little girl, and she said, I know that the rapture is going to happen. And she said on an S day. And I don't think she said the S name in my dream. I just knew it was an S day, and I knew it had to do with a Jewish feast day. That's what I knew of the dream. And so when I shared that dream, again, you guys, we were looking at Passover at this time, and there was so many Shabbats in, I think, March, April, May, and Shabbat this and Shabbat that. But in my spirit, I still didn't feel like it was Shabbat. But I was so focused on us going home before May 14th because I was stuck on this 69 and going, this is it. We're going home before the 70th year, before May 14th. But it just didn't sit right with me because it's like, well, I don't think it's a Shabbat. I just don't feel it in my spirit that's a Shabbat. Well, again, I put this in the back of my head, and now Feast of Tabernacles being Sukkot, and which reminded me of the other dream that I had where we were at this huge park and there was thousands of Christians gathering. And specifically, what stood out in my dream was this huge white tent. And then after the gathering, we had went to the high school for like this carnival event, and for some reason we went outside in the parking lot, and that's when I knew that we were in Israel. And we were talking about how beautiful it was, and then all of a sudden, because the high school was like on top of a mountain or on a really huge hill, and we were looking down, it was like the city was in a valley and there was a huge mountain on the other side of the city. And the volcano erupted. It was like a volcano that erupted, and then all this chaos started happening, just fire everywhere. And I ran back in the high school, and um, I knew that I was gonna die in the high school from this fire because the fire had gotten to the high school, and I was standing in the hallway, and I said something like in the effect of, I'll see you in a little bit, Grandma, because I knew my grandma was in heaven, and I knew I was going to die in the dream. But anyways, it happened in Israel, and then, like I said, the big white tent really stood out to me. So I thought, well, is that pointing us to Feast of Tabernacles too? So we know that Feast of Tabernacles, if our calendars are right, and what makes me think about that is because I just watched a video from Mark Ekawami, and he had a lady on there that her name is Pearl, and she was talking about just a bunch of stuff, but she had said that the calendars had to have been right because of the 4 blood moons falling on the Jewish days. And I was like, that makes sense, that even though God's calendar might be different than ours, he can still point us to some events that are happening on our calendar because of the 4 blood moons. But I know Scotty Clark had just did a video too, and I didn't watch the whole thing, but he was speaking about the Revelation 12 sign and how that's going to be in our skies. I want to say October 10th or 11th. And then he was pointing out that that would be the true Feast of Trumpets. So you guys, I want to believe Scotty, but I want to also believe that Feast of Tabernacles is now on the 23rd. And the only reason I really want to believe that is because of what the Lord has been showing us with Obama. Now, you guys, in my last dream, I had told you, for some reason, it came to my mind to share that dream again about me waiting on Obama in this restaurant. And he had wrote down in his black book $11.07. Then many of you guys commented about the calendars and how, I don't know if it was the Hebrew calendar many of you guys mentioned, but that September on our calendar is the 7th month. Is it the 7th month of Hebrew? I just don't remember, you guys. But as we know, Satan does things backwards. And so I was like, well, I think was looking at this around September 10th or 11th, and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe that is right. But now we're on the 20th. So I don't know what this $11.07 is, but what blew my mind was the table next to Obama was a mom and her 2 children, and the little boy said, he was looking at the menu, and it was a drink menu, and he said, what is this? And in the menu, it said Amsterdam. And I said, oh, that's ginger ale. Like without hesitation, I said, oh, that's ginger ale. And so you guys, Rob R., and I think one or two of you guys had commented about Obama being in Amsterdam in Heineken Hall. He's having a dinner at Heineken Hall on September 28th. And I thought, you gotta be kidding me. And so Rob had left a link to Rapture Time Awareness. I am subscribed to them, but again, you guys, I haven't been watching YouTube videos a whole lot. And so I found the time to watch the video, and he was talking about Obama being in Amsterdam, and he also brought up this thing in the newspaper where it talked about the Gemini twins. And so he showed the article, and it said, meet the Gemini twins before sunup on September 5th, 6th. And I was like, what? Because clearly sunup stood out to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I had that dream again about the same time as I had the Will Smith thing. And you guys, I really don't want to like focus on this Will Smith thing, but it just sits in the back of my head, and we're 5 days away from him being 50. He's going to turn 50 on the 25th. And in that vision or whatever I had, it said Will Smith dead at the age of 49. At the same time I shared that, I had woke up. I had kicked my husband in my sleep. I had kicked him hard enough to wake him up. And I had screamed, the twin said, the sun is up, the sun is up, it's time to go, it's time to go. And then I was all excited about it. And then my husband was a little ticked because I kicked him so hard. And he's like, you just kicked me. And I was like, what? Did I just say the twin said the sun is up? And he said, yeah. And he jumped out of bed. He was a little upset. So now I'm seeing, like I said, Rapture Time Awareness did this video, and it said, meet the Gemini twins before sunup. So that sunup really stood out to me because I was like, well, the twin said the sun is up. So if this article says the Gemini twins meet them before the sun is up, I was like, oh wow, is it, because of my dream, is the Lord saying that the sun is going to be up here very shortly if this happened on September 5th, 6th, which was 2 weeks ago. You guys, I'm just sharing this. I'm not going to put any things on it or anything like that. I just wanted to share that. But I just found it crazy that when I looked up, I had watched a video about 4 years ago on Trinity Broadcasting Network. If you guys don't know what it is, it's a Christian channel, TBN, and they have this logo of a lion on the left and a horse unicorn on the right. And I couldn't find the video. I went back to look at the video because the person that did the video showed all this evil, dark symbolism to this logo. And when I had the dream of the Amsterdam, the ginger ale thing, I did a little bit of homework on that as well. And I was like, that's the same logo as TBN. So I went back to look for the video. I couldn't find it, but I found something similar that showed me the meaning of it, which I'm just going to read off a couple of them. But the dog, we know that, and I haven't watched him for years, but Mark the Grox, I remember a lot of his videos. Is it Sirius or Series the dog? He talked about that. And then so again in this logo, it shows the 4 crowns, the mouth of a lion, the body of a leopard, the feet of a bear, black prince, little horn, eyes of a man, 4 beasts, order of garter, red dragon. And so a week ago or so, I was looking all this up again, and I punched up ginger ale, which brought me to Seagram 7, which led me to Heineken. And then I was just like blown away because that dream, like I said, the little boy, Amsterdam ginger ale, Obama's in the dream. Now Obama is going to be in Amsterdam on September 28th, which is my birthday. And I was just like, oh my gosh, having dinner at the Heineken Hall. And Rob also mentioned too that Heineken and ginger ale, just they both have the green bottles. They both are like amber color and just so many things that just blew my mind away. But I also wanted to mention to you guys too about the Feast of Tabernacles. So many people have had dreams of it. And I know Barry Scarborough had like lemon dreams, and so did Kristen. And Love by the King left a comment about her just having dreams of the Feast of Tabernacles. And I think there was a few more. And I'm not sure if Todd from It Is Finished. I want to say he did, and I want to say Amanda Christian did as well. So, and I'm not sure when all this was. I think it could have been last summer, again, that we were being pointed to tabernacles. And it doesn't, like, you guys, just because the Lord shows us things doesn't mean it's going to happen at that exact same time. You know, like last year we were looking at it, and there was so many times we were being pointed to certain times, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's when something's going to happen. As we know, things are happening in the world that the human eye cannot see. It's all spiritual warfare as well. And so we're not aware of everything that's happening in the heavens and in the dark places behind closed doors. You know, we know this world is just full of evil, and, you know, even Christians that call themselves Christians today, they're just so lukewarm. And when you mention anything about the end times or that Jesus is coming, they just laugh at you and mock at you. And it's like, how can you call yourself a Christian? And like John Hagee says, if you're not watching, you're probably not going. And so I say that continuously too. I don't say that to scare people, but I say it to my family, of course. I'm just like John Hagee says, if you're not watching, you're probably not going, you know. And it just blows my mind at the people that just are not aware of what's happening and what's coming. They're just so involved in the world and everything that's in the world. And, you know, we can thank Satan for that. He's just pulling people away from Christ further and further every single day. And that's just what makes me think, like, why are we still here? You know, there's so many people struggling, and I see it constantly on comments and just everywhere that majority of us are Christians are going through the fire right now. I mean, we are truly being, you know, I want to say purified and tested in these last seconds that we have here. You know, I think back to, you know, May and June, how I was praying to the Lord and asking him, you know, I just need a break. I need to enjoy my family. And I know time is short, but I desperately need this time to, you know, spend with them, because every single extra second I have is on YouTube and doing research and having dreams and doing videos and trying to comment. And guys, it's not just about making videos, it's trying to keep up with the comments and doing the research for the videos and just everything else on top of that. So I don't know where I was going with this, but it, again, just back to the lukewarm Christians, it's the majority of them are just not ready, and they want to stay here. It's like, well, you know, I'm not ready. I know there's a heaven, and I know there's a God, and I know we're going home soon, but I want to enjoy, you know, my wife or my children or my grandchildren or, you know, whatever. And it's like, we can enjoy them at home. You know, why would you want to stay here in this darkness and see your children and your grandchildren just trying to be devoured by the darkness of this world. And what scares me, like I say, my grandbaby is going to be 3 years old next month. And I have a niece that's 3 and 2 twin niece and nephews that are 1.5. And I'm like, I just want the Lord to come before these children can be accounted for. That is my prayer, is that the children that are not old enough to be accounted for are going to be accounted for. Say the cutoff, and I'm not saying this is the cutoff, but just say like the cutoff is 13, and we have 13-year-olds now in the world, that next year, if the Lord decides to wait another year, that are going to be accounted for in a year. Look how many children could have just been taken without being, taking responsibility for their lives, if you guys know what I'm saying. But again, we have to trust and have faith in the Lord and know that His timing is perfect. Everything that is happening it's in His plan, it's in His purpose, and He's our Father and He loves us so much, and we just have to remind ourselves of that constantly, that He is in control and He's the one that's going to make these decisions, and nothing can be done without Him. And as you guys can see, everything that He's speaking of in the Bible is unfolding. It's, everything in Syria and Israel, and just everything is just like, wow, 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 wow. How can you guys be so blind to the days that we're living in? I mean, we're down to our last seconds, literally down to our last seconds, and you guys are so worried about, the material stuff in the world and your jobs, and, of course we have to make a living and do this and that, and I always think to myself, I'm so blessed, and if it wasn't for my assisted living, I would not have a home like I have. I would be so happy in a little 1-bedroom apartment, driving a 20-year-old car, not having a car payment. And, you know, the saying where it says simple is best is true, because when you have so much, um, it's just more stress. And the only reason I have what I have, and I'm not saying I'm wealthy, because I'm not. I live paycheck to paycheck like everybody else, and my money goes into my home because I run my business out of my home, and I have to have a nice home in order to, you know, have people wanting to put their family members in here. They don't. Oh, and I noticed this in just my life. Hearts are growing cold. And I see when people come, if I have somebody that passes away and I have an opening and people come, they care more about what their room looks like and your decor and, the kind of van I'm going to be driving them around in and this and that. They don't look at you and your heart and how you're going to care for them and this and that. They care about the environment that they're in, if their room is nice, if they have their own bathroom. You guys know what I'm saying. It's that they don't look in every aspect that I'm seeing in life. People are looking at the material stuff, and it's just absolutely crazy. But you guys, I want to get back onto this. I'm sorry I kind of got off track here, but back to the Obama thing. As you guys know, like my grandpa said, when I took him home, we had gotten on the conversation of, the end times, and both me and my grandpa just get on fire when we're talking about the Lord and the rapture and just everything. And he said, never in my 90 years have I ever seen in my lifetime, after a president leaves office, him staying in the news so much. And he goes, I can't even turn on a channel and turn the channel and turn the channel without Obama being on there. And I said, well, of course, he's got to be in sight, so, because he's the Antichrist. And I want to also mention, you guys, so you guys know that he, on September 11th, he had made the comment about that we don't need a Messiah and we don't need to be looking for our Lord and Savior. And then he told the story about being kicked out of the Magic Kingdom. You guys, it doesn't take a genius to read between the lines. I mean, he is screaming that he's the Antichrist. And if you guys are subbed to Chris from Born for Battle 74, you guys, I highly recommend watching his videos. They're only a couple minutes long, and his videos keep me encouraged on a daily basis. For some reason, I always get his notifications on my phone, and it's like they don't leave me. Um, and you know how your phone shuts off, and if you don't clear your whatever you call it, it just continues to show up till you clear it. And then when I have time, you know, anybody has time to watch a 2-minute video, and I love Chris. I love his videos. And so I pretty much watch every single one of them, but it's like, if not every day, it's every other day, he's doing a video showing numbers after everything. It's like he's obsessed with finding everything that leads to Obama. Um, and it just keeps me encouraged, because when I watch those videos, it's not, I don't love Obama, and, you know, I don't follow him. I don't follow politics. You know, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to go home. And, but his videos just keep me so encouraged, because I think Revelation 17:11, how it talks about the sixth will become the eighth and Trump's the seventh, and he will be here a short time. Well, we know Trump's already been in office almost 2 years. So what do we consider a short time? And then it also talks about the beast, the Antichrist, being for 42 months. So would that be in the term of Trump if he was to have 2 terms? If we were to count back, say it went to the max of 8 years, if we were to go back 3.5 years, it would bring us into the, what would it be? Oh my gosh. So like another 2.5 years to go maximum. But again, it says for a short time. So what is a short time? We're already in it for 2 years. If we went the max, it would be 6 years. But then we have to think about the 42 months that Obama's gonna be back, because he's the eighth king. I mean, I just don't see any other way around it, you guys. Everything, and it's not just Chris's videos, it's Jonathan's videos. And you know, I do, like I said, I'm not on YouTube a whole lot, and I scroll through them once in a while, just seeing who put out what, and it's just Obama after Obama after Obama videos. And I just watched a short clip the other day about Jonathan, because it was about Obama, and he was talking about his daughter's names, and I've known this for a while, but Natasha and Malia, I think it's Malia, and you take those names backwards, and it says I am Satan, and Obama wears the ring to Allah, but Natasha's name also means gift from Allah as well. And then I wanted to remind you guys of that other dream that I had of Obama. I'm not going to share the whole dream, but it was around, we were in this church, and I'm not going to really get into that. But the part that I want to mention is after we left the church, I knew it was Halloween. Well, in the church, I had looked at Obama, because Obama had come and he put his arm around me when my husband and my son had taken off to go to the restroom or something. Obama came up to me, and I looked at him and I said, I know who you are. And he got that really scared look on his face. And I said, you better step back before Mike gets back. And then the next thing I know is I'm in this park, and there was a bunch of people in the park with Halloween costumes on. And then there was a bunch of other people that had like those black satanic robes on with over their face and stuff. And they had the brooms with fire on them, and then they were throwing fireballs at people and starting them on fire and taking their brooms and starting people on fire. And one of the guys had come up to me and got in my face, and I said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ." And he turned around and he ran off, and that was the end of my dream. But again, that was another Obama dream, and I'm only bringing this up because we're, a month away from it being Halloween. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to say with the twins thing as well, you guys, about the dreams that I've had about the twins and the baseball season. Now, I don't know when, what do you call it, the World Series is. I think it's usually around Halloween, but I decided to look up the Twins and when their last game was, which is September 30th. And they play against the White Sox. Now, I don't know if the Lord is pointing me something that has to do with baseball, because some of my other twins' dreams have just been like me giving birth to twins and other things that have to do with twins. But the baseball dream was the last dream that I had about the twins, and how it said exit at 69. So anyways, they're playing the White Sox. And so I was just like, the first thing that popped into my head, white, righteous, and then socks. And I remembered that Sherry, I had a dream about, I don't really remember the dream. I'd have to go back and look at the video, but in this dream I wasn't wearing socks, and it meant something, but I can't remember for the life of me what the socks meant. And she gave me the interpretation. So Sherry, if you're watching this video, could you please give me the interpretation again, because I can't remember for the life of me what that means. But the 69, you guys, was driving me crazy, and Calvin Bamberg had left a comment, and he said 69 is the number of the Masonic keystone in the arch of the two pillars. It represents their work is completed. He thinks it means the Antichrist and Satan are about to complete their plans, and it directly ties into the 69 weeks mentioned in Daniel. So probably 5 or 6 days ago, I'm scrolling through YouTube again on my phone, and Many Fish did a video, and it had the number 69 in the title. So I watched it, and he pretty much talked about the same thing as Calvin had mentioned. And basically, you guys, that I think the Lord is telling us with this 69 that, Obama is ready, and Satan is ready, and God's ready. And you can see that God's, hooking these people in, like it says, they will hook them in by the jaws. And as you guys can see, it's all happening right now. And, we're just on the cusp of going home, you guys. It's just like everything is pointing to now. And then also John Hagee, you guys, I watch him faithfully. Like every day I watch John Hagee, and if I can't get to him, I record him. Um, he's just so on fire, and he gets me on fire, and I swear there's not a sermon he tells that I don't cry to. But I found it kind of crazy that he's been talking about it, and he was talking about the cup of trembling in Israel and Jerusalem, and I was just like, oh wow, there's another piece of my dreams. It's like I think back on my dreams, and I was looking through my videos, and I was like, oh my gosh, this one lines up, this one lines up. It's like, excluding everybody's dreams, just my dreams alone, it's like they're all connecting together. It's like it's coming together like a magnet. Like the Lord's just like, putting them all together, and I'm just like, whoa. And I can't remember when that was either, but I had received Cup of Trembling. And at that same time, Joey Bond and I believe Melissa from Midnight Oil had received that. And then now, like, John Hagee's been preaching on it. So I was just like, whoa, just like how much more is going on. And then you guys also know that the red heifer was born in Israel. So we don't know where that's leading, but if that is is the true one this time, because we've seen it in the past, if that's the one, then we are just like right there. And then I think Doc Kids just did a video that they just started building, I think a day or two ago, the third temple. So it's like, wow, everything has come together. And I'm just seeing on my notes right here as well, um, with the Amsterdam thing, I had looked up one of the founders that kept on sticking out in that Wikipedia page of the ginger ale, Diageo. And it's just like Diageo. So I had to look it up, you guys. And the Greek word means the world. In Latin, it means dies. So it's like, so the world dies. Another thing that I'm just throwing in there, you guys, like I said, Obama's going to be in Amsterdam on 9/28. Am I sure something's going to happen? No, none of us know exactly when it's going to happen, but like the Bible says, no man knows the day or hour. That's true, you guys. Nobody's going to know the exact day or hour that the Lord's coming. But Matt Hagee was also telling us, when a woman is pregnant, we know that when she gets 4 or 5 months along, we only have a couple months to go. And then when she's 9 months and starting to have contractions, we're getting extremely close. And then when she actually goes in to the hospital, and that baby is going to be born any second. And that's what the Lord is saying, is no man is going to know exactly the day or hour, but he will do nothing without revealing it to his children. And he's revealing it to thousands and thousands and thousands of us. And how can we all be getting such similar things, and even excluding the dreams and visions and everything, just looking at what the Bible speaks about what's going to be happening in the end days? It's you have to be completely blind not to know that we're out of here like any day. I don't see us going very much longer, you guys. I truly do not see us being here, not even in a couple months. I truly believe the Lord is pointing us to now. I can only pray and hope that it's now, because everything that's being thrown at me, you guys, and I'm not complaining one bit, because when I start feeling sorry for myself and my situation, immediately I start thinking about the homeless people, and the starving children. And you can just turn on the TV and see it, and it's so sad to see so many people ignoring the needy. I watched a video quite a while ago, and this video has never left me, you guys, but this guy walks into a coffee shop, and all these people are sitting at the table, and it had like these little bubble sayings above them, of what they're gonna, what's on their mind and what they're going through. And we got to remember that, you guys, is that we don't know what people are going through and what they're thinking. And so many people have it so much worse than us, and we got to be thankful for what we have. We can't be disappointed in looking at the things that we don't have. Again, we're not in this world, and we're not supposed to be a part of it, and material stuff shouldn't matter to us. And the sad thing, it does. And what blew my mind was when I took my grandpa back, and I don't know if I said this in my last video, but we had stopped at Denny's to get a bite to eat. It was like 11:30 at night, and we stopped in Fargo, and We still had about an hour to go, but my grandpa was hungry, and I was like, well, I used to work at this Denny's. Let's go check it out. Let's go eat at Denny's. And we walked in there, and they had the one section sectioned off, and um so everybody was in this other section, and there wasn't a table open. And I sat down and I looked at my menu, and I knew what I wanted right away, and I put it down, and I'm just waiting there, and I'm looking around. You guys, I kid you not. 90% of those people in that restaurant had their phones in their faces, whether they were reading something or texting or whatever they were doing on their phones, they were doing it. And I looked at my grandpa and I said, "Look at this." And he looked and he said, "Yep, John Hagee spoke about that with those cell phones." Again, you guys, my grandpa's 90 years old. He's so comical, but he was, saying that this is how knowledge is increasing, and people just don't even socialize anymore. And I'm like, you can't even go out to dinner and sit with your family anymore and have a face-to-face conversation, and just put your phones down for 5-10 minutes, or you know what I'm saying. There was a couple that was probably in their 60s, and they had one of their dads with them, and the poor old man sitting there just looking around, do 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 do, while um the the man and woman were sitting there on their phones like they were 16 years old, just like glued to their phone. And I just felt like saying, "Why don't you come over and, talk to us for a while?" But I'm just looking, and it just blew my mind, you guys. I live in a small town, and I don't go out a whole lot, but to walk in there and see that, it was just like, wow, 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 wow. And I read it all the time that people just don't communicate. They don't get together and have lunch anymore. It's all social media. It's all texting. Nobody picks up the phone anymore and talks to one another. You want to talk, you just text. And the Bible speaks of all this. And anyways, you guys, you know what I'm saying? Just everything that the Lord speaks about is here. It's happening. And I believe with all my heart, we are moments away from getting out of here and going home. And I am excited. And if I have to wait a little bit longer, then so be it. It's just more people that we witness to. And this is what I'm going to leave you guys with is, please, please, please don't stop sowing those seeds. I've said it over and over. Every single soul counts. And you might not think that just saying this thing or that thing will change their minds, but if you just say it and sow that seed, the Lord will take over. And you pray over that person and you ask the Lord to do what you cannot do. You do what you can do, and the Lord will do what you cannot. He promises that. And like I said, every single soul counts. And when we think about that, you guys, about how many people are going to hell, it's so heartbreaking. And just us saying just a simple Jesus loves you, or telling them, about the end times, or whatever the Lord leads you to say it. Don't hold it back. Say it, because if they are left behind after we are gone, they're going to remember what you're going to say, and it could determine whether they're going to take that ship or they're going to go to the guillotine. It will make a difference. And don't you think for 1 second that it won't, because it will. And if, like I said before, if you have social anxiety and you can't say face to face, do it on the computer like I do. I go on YouTube videos. I haven't did it lately. When I had time in the past, I've did it where I go to videos that are not Christian, and I will type up my message of, just everything. And you guys, just if you want to do it this way, just sit down, pray about it, write it all out, and then make a commitment to do, 5 posts a day, and just go to different videos that are trending and leave your comment. And you can disable your comment if you don't want to deal with fighting with other people. Just disable where people can't comment back to you. But people, I trust me, hundreds if not thousands of people are going to read that comment. And in 10 days, if you did five a day, and say even 500 watch, that's 2,500 times 10 days. That's 25,000 people that just read about the times that we're in. And, that Jesus does love them, and that we, just like I said, just pray about it, and do what you can do. Don't give up. Just keep fighting till we leave. And again, it's not very long. We are down to the last seconds. Like somebody just said, in a football game, they give it their all. In their last 2 minutes of the game, they give it their all, because they know that the game is almost over, and we know that it's almost over. So we have to give it. We're down to the last seconds, you guys. We don't have 2 minutes. We don't have 1 minute. We don't even have 10 seconds. We have just minimal seconds, and we just have to give it everything we have. And trust me, the Lord will be so proud of you, and you will be rewarded for it. And just think about all the people that we're going to save. Like I said, in 10 days, if you can do 25,000 and there's 100 of you that go do it, that's 250,000 people that we just saved by just taking 5-10 minutes out of our time and doing it. There's so many different ways that you guys can preach it. Like I said, I wear my sweatshirts out in public, and I might not sow a big seed, but a seed is a seed regardless of how small it is. But you guys, I'm going on almost an hour. Oh my gosh. I'm going to let you go. You guys, I cannot wait to meet each and every one of you and give you guys the biggest hug. And you guys get ready. Like John Hagee just said, we're going to the wedding feast of the Lamb. Get ready, get ready, get ready. The King is coming. We are going to the biggest event ever. And the minimum, John Hagee said, is 7 years we're going to have this party. I mean, it could last the whole millennial 1,000 years, but we're there for 7 years having the biggest party ever, ever, ever. And we're going to be with our loved ones, and we're going to be with Jesus, you guys. We're going to be with Jesus. Can you just imagine sitting at a table with Jesus and having dinner with him? Like I said, just so many people don't think about that stuff. They don't, yeah, there's a heaven, there's a hell, there's a God, but I'm not ready. It's like, get ready, think about it. How can you not think about it? Just close your eyes and think about it. That's all I can ever think about is what we're going to do, what we're going to say, just every little detail about heaven I think about constantly. And people just look at me like I'm crazy. Like, why? Why do you want to go home so bad? It's like, you guys have no clue, do you? You just have no clue. This world is just a drop of water. Just think about all the water in the oceans, and it's one drop compared to eternity. And you guys are stuck here thinking about, your next new car, your next new home, or your money in the bank and how much you're going to have at retirement. Who cares? I would give up everything and go live as a homeless person on the streets, to give my life up for Jesus. I mean, there's nothing in this world that I want or anybody could ever offer me. This is just, oh, I don't know, you guys. I don't get it. I can't wrap my head around it. But anyways, sow those seeds, you guys. I love you. Jesus loves you. And I will see you guys so very, very soon. God bless.